When I was 13 years old, I was too young to get a worker's permit. So instead, I started my own business. I wanted to be like Steve Jobs, who created Apple Computer in his parents' garage. But in my parents' garage, I didn't build a business that would later IPO and make me a billionaire. Instead, though, it would give me the experience in business unlike any other I've ever had before. Using my dad's lawnmower, I mowed my neighbor's lawn once per week. And over the next 2 years, I'd build my business into a multi-seasoned, 4-man operation, all before it would crumble away before me. I know there's many entrepreneurs in this club, and so I'd like to tell you a little bit about my pitfalls that I faced to make sure that you can try to avoid them in your own business. So the lessons I learned: number 1, cash is king. Number 2, be careful who you hire. And number 3, don't grow until you know. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, when I first started off to build my business, I dreamed big. But my piggy bank was really small. I had dreams of buying a whole bunch of brand new mowers and hiring an army of personnel that can make me rich and powerful, and I could counter the lawn service market in my town. But I soon realized the reality of my situation. I was 13 years old. I had no collateral, and I had no money in the bank. When my own parents turned me down for a new business loan, I realized lesson number 1. Cash is king. I had no collateral. I couldn't buy a new lawnmower. I had to use the old one I had. The only capital I could tap was $5 a week, which was the price of my allowance. However, only if I completed my chores. So this didn't deter me. I burned off a lot of flyers. I walked door to door. I tried to grow my business. I undercut the professional people in town. I was a lean, mean lawn mowing machine. By the end of the year, I had a new client on just about every block. And times were good. And they told me, David, come back next year, you can do it again. I said, great. Next year I came back, I had those customers, and in addition, I had referrals. So I now had more jobs than I could muster, and so I knew I needed to grow. So I hired my friend Jared. Now I felt that Jared was qualified because he had a mower in his garage. And even though he was a really good friend and a good neighbor, and we spent a lot of time together, this mower was really something special. Next, I hired Bob and Bill, who are twin brothers, also friends of Jared and I. And in addition to being twins, you would most likely assume they had a lot in common, but I didn't realize at the time that they had a fear of manual labor. Showed up to the very first job and asked me, hey David, how many vacation days do I get? I learned lesson number 2, be careful who you hire. If this couldn't get any worse, Jared comes up to me with his very first occupational concern. Hey David, we need to talk. Oh, Jared, what's going on? Hey David, my mom says I can't cut lawns anymore. Jared, I'm depending upon you. I hired you just a week ago. What's going on? See, I'm allergic to grass. Jared, what's going on? You know, you knew the job. I'm depending on you. Let's go. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You see, David, it never came up in the interview. So I realized I made bad personnel decisions, but I was soon struggling between being a loyal friend and being a successful businessman. Soon, interest in the business started to wane, and I thought, all I need to do is get more jobs, we'd make more money, and then there's more motivation to grow the business. So I printed out more flyers, went door to door, I took it to the edge, I took it to the limit, I knocked on doors I'd never seen before. I learned lesson number 3, don't grow until you know. I came back with new leads to my friends. However, these lawns were a mile away, or half mile away. And obviously there's no volunteers when you need to push your lawnmower half a mile, do the job, and bring it back another half mile for the same price as the lawn you could do just next door. So soon these became my lawns, and I started to become unhappy. By this point, interest in the business was at its lowest point yet. To the point that I started getting calls from my clientele saying that the work ethic of my friends was falling apart. They'd say, you know, some of these lawns are half complete or not complete at all. And better yet, some of your friends are racing lawnmowers on my yard. There's a bunch of horseplay going on. So I had to sit down my 13-year-old coworkers and say, act your age. Grow up. I had to redo these lawns for no additional money on my part. It was my business, my brand. I needed to do it. I wondered how many jobs Steve Jobs needed to redo because some of his friends were monkeying around with the computers. When I realized that I couldn't control the quality of the work that was being produced by my company, I realized that was the beginning of the end. I realized that I didn't create a company that could be compared with Apple computers. I realized I wasn't a CEO like Steve Jobs. But I realized what it took to drive something from nothing and to be persistent and dedicated. And I thought maybe just next year, when I'm 15 and I'm an adult, there could be another opportunity waiting for me. Thank you. Great. Thank you, David. Michelle, are you ready?